Thundercats is a cartoon that is quite well loved, even today. It had exceptional art and animation for its time, along with great action and a story that would continue to progress each week. It's no wonder that when a remake was announced, and it looked like this...
Hey there everyone, my name's Lionel.
Quite a few people were upset. But when you think about it, both shows were really just following the trends of their time. Suffice to say, action cartoons haven't been doing so well on television over the last few years. But why is that? If it worked so well in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, why can't you seem to find any action surfing modern cartoon channels?
I think in order to explain this, we have to start at the beginning. He-Man, a cartoon that even if you've never watched an episode yourself, you should surely be able to recognize. Airing in 1983, He-Man revolutionized two things. Cartoons predictably, given its immense popularity, but that isn't the main reason it was such a trendsetter. The main reason for that was its toys.
Trapjaw figure from the Masters of the Universe collection. He-Man and Battle Cat figures each sold separately.
See, He-Man was a glorified commercial, and it was arguably one of the best commercials of all time. Thanks to the He-Man cartoon series, the toy brand was able to make over $1 billion in only a year since the release of the cartoon. Keep in mind, this was $1 billion back in 1984. It was thanks to this that the action cartoon craze began. You make an action cartoon to sell action figures. Oftentimes, the shows themselves would actually be produced at a loss, simply because you'd make the money back and then some on toy revenue. As time went on, the animation would get better, and budgets would increase. It was during this period that many childhood favorites would be produced. Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, and then later SWAT Kats and Avatar: The Last Airbender could thank He-Man for starting the trend. It could even be argued that that huge anime craze we saw in the early 2000s is at least partly thanks to He-Man, since they too were action-based animation that was shown in America as a way to sell toys. Sadly though, all good things come to an end.
Well, this is the end, beautiful friends.
After a golden age lasting nearly 30 years, starting in the late 2000s, you would begin to see mass die-offs of action cartoons. Even entire action blocks like Toonami and later DC Nation were canned. So, what did in action cartoons? After all, they may have once dominated television, but these days, only the most established brands can manage to still be produced. Well, there were a number of factors leading to this decline, but I bet you can guess what one of them was. After all, you might be watching this video on it right now. It's no secret that a lazy kid has far more ways to entertain themselves these days than just sitting down and watching TV. It's why today, average viewership of cartoon channels is less than half of what it was less than a decade ago.
Please select mode of death, quick and painless, or slow and horrible.
Yeah, I'd like to place a collect call.
You have selected slow and horrible.
Good choice.
With action cartoons costing so much to make, it's hard to justify spending so much money making them. Smartphones don't just compete with television, they also compete with toys, meaning that you can expect less revenue from them as well. But it's more than just that. Action cartoons oftentimes have plots to them.
You never told me you made out with the moon spirit.
Shh, I'm trying to watch.
This makes it harder to schedule around. A random episode of SpongeBob could be played in any order, and you would likely understand what's happening, even if the first episode you watched was halfway through a random season. This simply isn't the case if you stumbled onto a mid-season episode of Young Justice and never seen an episode prior. Cartoon channels are also purposely targeting younger than they once did. The original Thundercats targeted boys between the ages of 8 and 12 years old, but modern cartoons are looking for kids of about 6 in age. So with all of this in mind,
It's really no wonder why Cartoon Network would try for something cheap and colorful like this, instead of spending so much money on something like this. Actually, Thundercats did get a more faithful reboot in 2012. It, however, didn't last for more than a single season, and the reason for this wasn't because people didn't like it. It's because Cartoon Network was able to find a better toy distribution deal with Lego, which I think only kind of proves my point. All isn't lost, however. TV might be dying and children's toys might not be as dominant as they once were, but there's a reason I added that Rebirth part to my title. You see, people haven't actually stopped watching shows, they just stopped watching them on cable television.
Coming out of nowhere, some masked nutjobs kidnapped my man Dave.
With the advent of the internet, pretty much all the issues I listed are now gone, and it's led to some great things. The viewers weren't lost, they just switched platforms. People of all ages, especially older people, now spend a lot of time and money on streaming sites like Netflix, Verve, or Hulu. So, episode order? Who cares? With streaming, you can guarantee people are going to watch a show in the order you want them to, meaning you have no reason to fear making a plot-heavy cartoon. And again, since people of all ages use Netflix, you can target not just the kids 12 and younger, but adults too. And on top of that, who needs toy sales? Kids play video games, why not just make a cartoon to market one? It worked great for the cartoon series Walk Fu, and it's the driving force behind the recent show, The Dragon Prince, which despite its wonky visuals, you should definitely give it a try, it's actually really great. So while it may be a bit early, I'm optimistic. Voltron is already on its 8th season, Last Man and Dragon Prince are both some of the best cartoons I've watched in years, and streaming companies are only planning on investing more into animation. Even Warner Brothers thought it was a good idea to make a successor to DC Nation with their DC Universe service, and they're bringing back some of its lost animations. TV's slow death may have caused the decline of action cartoons, but its replacement is causing its rebirth. While I may be nostalgic over waking up early for Saturday morning cartoons, I can't stop myself from seeing this new future as a good thing.